All right, transmutation of darkness into light. This is a concept that is greatly emphasized in the Emerald Tablets of Tehuty. So what is that? So if we consider darkness as a synonym of blackness, and if we are in the awareness that blackness is the full spectrum of light, so all lights and colors combined create blackness, and the physical state of it, of this blackness, is actually melanin, the solid aspect of it. So us, as in all melanated beings, which is everybody has melanin on this earthly experience, but who has the most and the greatest, amount of melanin? Of course, we're talking about so-called indigenous people, and that's light. That is the light that you possess. But anyway, I made my premise. So what's my interpretation of this blackness and this darkness? Okay, let me get to meditation and what meditation is. Basically, when you meditate, you take the seat of God. Consider God that, or this creative force, whatever you want to call it, the nature, as we say, in the Kemetic culture. Consider God that created everything. Out of what? Out of the darkness. You have also in Genesis, the phrase, very famous phrase, let there be light. That means there was what before? Darkness. So it means that light come from the darkness. And think about it. So make a parallelism, right? So think as yourself and God in a parallel way. Like, you are the micro of the macro, right? So God is the macro, you the micro. So when you're meditating, what you do, you are in complete darkness. Not necessarily, but that's the way that we know of meditating and receiving. So either you're in a room full of dark room, or you just close your eyes and you create the darkness out of which you create. So you get the light out of it. So what happens when you meditate? You actually receive information and it flows, right? So you actually receive information that you weren't even thinking you were capable of not receiving, but creating out of conscious thought in your perhaps daily life, as you are awake. But that's what happened during meditation. And what's this information that you receive? Remember that information is actually light, so many people might not be able maybe to process certain messages that certain people give, because they're not able to receive the information, therefore they're not able to receive that light. And I think it's a position where many of us that are reawakened found ourselves in, when we communicate to people around us, or maybe random people. They just seem not to understand it, and you have to go over and over again. I mean, that's not something that I want to do, that I actually really do, but it's because they cannot absorb that light. The same way somebody can get burned from the light that we have up there, our sun, right? Ra. So they're not able to process all the amount of light. There's a limit, right? And this is the concept of transmutation of darkness into light. Therefore, you go into the darkness, you become God, and you create out of it. You get information when you meditate, and that's the light that you have. So you transmute that darkness that you go into, and you let it become light, right? And you apply in whichever form possible in your daily reality, right? Like, for example, now I'm making this video, so it's something that is witnessing towards that light that I'm receiving, right? And that's my basic concept of transmutation into light. So in the Emerald Tablets of Tehuty, you have Tehuty saying that darkness is the light of the light that basically got dimmed and kind of shifted, towards a lesser light, like diminished, right? Diminished, just diminished. So that's what that darkness is. But I'm also seeing it in a parallel way. Don't get me wrong, maybe the concept that I'm talking about, it's even in the Emerald Tablets, but not that I'm aware of. And I don't think I ever read something to the effect of what I'm saying. But of course, this is basic. Light is information. You're in the darkness, you meditate, you receive information, you transmute that darkness into light. It's very simple. It's a simple concept, but yet so powerful, right? So yeah, that's how it is. And that's my transmutation of darkness into light. And not only that, if you consider that light can also be, as darkness can be a synonym of blackness, light can be also a synonym of gold. So, and if you look at the alchemical symbol of gold, please go and look at it. It's a circle with a black dot in it. So a circle with a black dot in it. And that's as well the concept of what? The black dot. So the black dot is basically the concept of being centered, having the Heru consciousness or the Christ consciousness, getting out of, the deep, the subconscious, getting from the primordial, whatever primordial you want to talk about, whether it's primordial waters, or primordial as in prime first, getting from the source. At the end of the day, we're talking the creator, God. So the black dot, the concept of the black dot and the symbol that you will give to it is the same symbol at the end of the day that you have for the alchemical, that you have for the symbol of gold in alchemy. So again, you have the concept of darkness and light tied together. They're basically one and the same. Different faces of the same coin. Different faces of the same coin. And remember, this is our first currency. Currency as something that flows. So as ancient beings as we are, to the one I'm speaking to at least, this is our true foundation, this is our true wealth. So we start from there, right? And that's the truth. And of course, the best hour to meditate are the so-called witch hour, which is 3 to 5 a.m., right? So 3 to 5 a.m., known as the witch hour, is when those, energies can assist you and communicate to you better, because the chaos that you have around you is absent during that hour, so it's easier to communicate, right? So 3 to 5, remember, it's if you add them, 3 to 5 equals 8, right? And the 8 gives you what? 8 gives you abundance, which is in this case spiritual abundance, and that can be reflected, of course, in all different fields of life that you're involved in, right? You start from that abundance, 3 to 5 a.m. Tough, right? But yeah, this is the truth. And again, 3 to 5 a.m., of course, it's darkness, you know, but you get light from it. I mean, everything is a sacrifice. Everything is a sacrifice, but, you know, then the light is present, you know. I mean, the light is always present. As I say, that's my saying, that you don't have to look for the light at the end of the tunnel. You have to remember that you are the light that make the tunnel shines, you know. Shines, not shines. Right? You get it? So yeah, you have to remember. I have to repeat it now. Yeah, I'm not gonna go with a mistake like that. So you have to remember that you don't have to wait for the light at the end of the tunnel, but you have to remember that you are the light that make the end of the tunnel shine, right? So, I mean, and that's the truth. I don't want to sound like too philosophical and not making much sense, but that's the truth, you know. And I think I use also another analogy by saying that going down the rabbit hole, you know, I'm not afraid to go down the rabbit hole, as in the dark and the mystery and all the knowledge that is concealed from us that we should be scared and aware of, you know. That's the rabbit hole, you know. And no stuff that it's so-called forbidden. I mean, I don't mind, because as I say, you know, if you go down the tunnel, I mean, excuse me, if you go down the rabbit hole, you know, again, still remember that you go in the deep, in the dark, but you are the light. So, and if you carry with you, you remember that you have the light. That's it, you know. There's no problem. You outshine darkness, right? But, you know, we also have to remember that, you know, I don't want to be extreme with the concept of course, you heard me now, with the concept of light and darkness, because you have to consider that let me call them the other four elements. I'll call them like that, the other four elements, the other four primordial elements. You have light, darkness, false light, and false darkness, you know. So, you know, depending on how you want to conceptualize light and darkness, you have these elements: false light, false darkness, light and darkness. So yeah, that's about it. And, you know, stay in the light, stay enlightened, you know, and start from the darkness, not the ignorance, the primordial darkness from which we come from. Hotep.